Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. Pro-life activists brave winter conditions for the annual March for Life rally. What people are saying and what's new this year. A notorious and convicted murderer seeking a new trial now has a nonprofit taking up his case. The group wants to seek new evidence. A third suspect is arrested in a homicide that shook news outlets in California. The suspect has been on the run since 2021 after killing a news station security guard. An emergency landing in Miami as flames erupt from a Boeing 747. The FAA will now investigate the Atlas Air incident. NTD's Stephanie Segal has the details.
A cargo plane experienced an engine malfunction shortly after takeoff but made a safe landing at Miami International Airport on Thursday night. Atlas Air Worldwide confirmed the safe landing around 10:32 p.m. following the incident. Video footage circulating on social media showed the plane descending with sparks. While officials reported the engine catching fire, the exact cause is under investigation. According to CBS News Miami, the crew reportedly followed standard procedures and no injuries were reported during the incident. Atlas Air emphasized safety as a top priority and announced plans for a thorough inspection to determine the cause of the malfunction. Stephanie Segal, NTD News.
Now let's take a look at other top headlines. As the death toll rises from this month's punishing winter storms and extreme cold, forecasters are warning of a series of new storms coming out of the west. The new cold blast from the plains to the southwest could bring more snow in the mid-Atlantic and northeast by the weekend. Nationwide, 95 million people are under weather alerts, and there have been at least 50 weather-related fatalities since January 12th. Forecasters say this new system could drop anywhere between 1 to 3 inches of snow across a wide area, with some places getting up to 6 inches. Baltimore, New York, and Washington, D.C. are already seeing snow as the storm moves across the Midwest and into the Northeast throughout tonight. Dangerous road conditions are forcing school closures. Thousands of flights have been delayed or canceled, stranding passengers. In Rochester, New York last night, an American Airlines regional jet slid off runway in heavy snow. Passengers had to deplane through emergency exits. According to the National Weather Service, we can expect a winter thaw, with the forecast showing above average temperatures on the way for most of the country by Monday. Thousands of pro-life activists braved the cold in Washington, D.C. for the 51st annual March for Life rally. Attendees from all over the country and all walks of life say they gathered for one mission: to defend the sanctity of life, both born and unborn. The pre-March rally features former NFL tight end Benjamin Watson, House Speaker Mike Johnson, among others.
I am myself a product of an unplanned pregnancy. In January of 1972, exactly 1 year before Roe v. Wade, my parents, who were just teenagers at the time, chose life. And I am very profoundly grateful that they did.
It's the largest pro-life rally in America. Organizers say they slightly altered the original route, which used to end in front of the Supreme Court. This year, marchers wind past the Capitol and end with the Supreme Court on the right and the Capitol building on the left. They say this end location reflects the 2022 decision overturning Roe v. Wade and their new focus to emphasize making their voices heard on pro-life policies in the legislature. A similar event called the Walk for Life West Coast will be held in San Francisco this weekend. Our California correspondent Jason Blair will bring you more coverage on Monday. Nevada's Republican governor endorsed the former President Trump yesterday. Governor Joe Lombardo told the Nevada Independent yesterday he believes the economy and foreign affairs were more stable under Trump. Nevada has 2 nominating contests next month. A primary the state is required to run because of a 2021 law, and a caucus the Nevada State GOP is holding 2 days later. And around 180 congressional Republicans are urging the Supreme Court to keep Trump on Colorado's ballot. They also argue that a state court has no right to circumvent Congress. And just days away, New Hampshire will hold their primary elections. According to the latest major poll out in New Hampshire, published by Boston Globe and conducted by Suffolk University, Trump holds a commanding lead over Nikki Haley. Join NTD's Steve Lance and Tiffany Meyer for another exciting election night on The Nation Decides 2024. Watch the action live on Tuesday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. A nonprofit organization is taking up a notorious murder case of a man who killed his wife and unborn child over 20 years ago. The group plans to look for new evidence.
The Los Angeles Innocence Project is taking up Scott Peterson's case. He was convicted of killing his wife and unborn son in 2002. In an email statement to NTD, the nonprofit said the Los Angeles Innocence Project represents Scott Peterson and is investigating his claim of actual innocence. We have no further comment at this time. The group intends to seek new evidence from the original trial. Peterson was charged with first-degree murder after dumping the body of his pregnant wife, Lacey, who was 8 months pregnant, into the San Francisco Bay on Christmas Eve in 2002. He was sentenced to death in 2005, but was resentenced to life in prison without parole in 2021. In 2022, a San Francisco judge rejected Peterson's request for a new murder trial. The LA Innocence Project provides pro bono legal services to criminals or those who may have been wrongfully convicted.
In California, the third suspect is being arrested for the homicide of former news station security guard Kevin Nishita. In November 2021, Nishita was shot while protecting a Crown 4 reporter in Oakland. NTD's Jason Blair has more on this new arrest. So Jason, what is the latest update with this case?
Yeah, David, so a third suspect was just apprehended by the U.S. Marshals over in Missouri, just outside of Kansas City, in the tragic killing of Kevin Nishita. He was a security guard on duty in Oakland, and the crew's camera equipment, there was an attempted robbery to try to take it. He was shot in the process and tragically died about 3 days later. Now, two of the suspects have been in custody since March of 2022. And the third suspect that was just apprehended, LaRon Gilbert, this man right here, was found, as I said, over in Missouri. He's currently awaiting over there in the county jail to be extradited back over to California by the Alameda County's district attorney's office.
Now, I understand Mr. Nishita's widow has been very outspoken about the case and against the Alameda County district attorney for being too soft on criminal prosecution. What is her reaction to the latest arrest?
That's right. Now, Virginia Nishita has been very outspoken. At the moment, though, she has been keeping quiet with this latest news. She wants to gather all the facts before she starts talking to people. And also, there are cases going on in the murder case. So she has not spoken publicly yet, but she has definitely in the past few months after the first two suspects were arrested, she did say this last year.
But for these guys, I'm not asking for the death sentence. I'm asking that they stay in prison for life so they don't do this to anyone else.
So for some of our national audience who may not be familiar with the case, could you give us a little background on the victim?
Yeah, Kevin Nishita was a security guard. He worked for several of the San Francisco Bay Area news networks. He was working, as I mentioned, for Crown 4 at the time of the shooting. Now, before that, he was a long-term police officer. He worked for COMA and several other agencies. And, it was a really big shock to the local area here when he was tragically killed.
There has been a very similar case of an Oakland police officer, Tuan Lei, being shot to death when responding to a robbery recently. Now, what do these cases say about the current state of Oakland in terms of crimes, public safety, and post-pandemic?
Yeah, that's right. It is very, very similar. Officer Lay was responding to a robbery in progress as an undercover officer and was tragically shot during that process. And yeah, there were 3 suspects in the killing in that case, as well as a 4th suspect who was indirectly involved. But yeah, very similar cases, and very definitely ruffled up the local area when those the news of those shootings happened.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, David, thank you.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A new record for fentanyl seized in the States. Officials say it's enough to kill every American. The age of the oldest dog ever is being questioned, sparking debates on what kind of food is best to feed dogs. A legendary hockey player is retiring, and so is his number. More on the why and the significance. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. A new record for fentanyl seized in the U.S. Authorities say in just 2023 alone, the amount discovered is enough to kill every American.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration in 2023 seized the most fentanyl in a single year. The DEA confiscated more than 77 million fentanyl pills and nearly 12,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. It amounts to more than 386 million deadly doses of fentanyl, enough to kill every American. In a statement, a special agent in charge said, "The dedicated women and men of DEA are doing everything in our power to battle the fentanyl scourge that is destroying our communities, but we're essentially drinking water from a fire hose. This is not a problem that can be solved by law enforcement alone." They found that fentanyl pills today are deadlier and more potent than before, with 7 out of 10 pills tested containing a potentially deadly dose of fentanyl. 2 milligrams is considered lethal. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there were over 112,000 American lives lost due to drug poisonings in 2023. Nearly 70% are from fentanyl. In response, the DEA is committed to defeating the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels, 2 big cartels responsible for smuggling fentanyl into the U.S.
The record for oldest dog ever is being challenged, and Guinness World Records announced an investigation. The scrutiny has fueled ongoing debates on what diets and lifestyle is healthiest for man's best friend. One person alleged a lobbyist group is behind the challenge. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
This is Bobby. He lived on a farm in a village in Portugal with his owner, Leonel Costa. In February 2023, Bobby was recognized by Guinness World Records as the oldest dog ever recorded at age 30. Costa said that Bobby had home-cooked meals, never wore a leash, and got lots of fresh air, saying, quote, "Bobby eats what we eat." Bobby made national headlines when he died in October at 31. However, days after Bobby's death, The Guardian reported that Danny Chambers, a member of the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons, claimed that he and his 18,000 colleagues doubted Bobby's age and demanded irrefutable proof from Guinness. Chambers, who is also running to be a member of Parliament in the UK, also said that Bobby has been used as an example by activists who, quote, "have long campaigned that dog food is killing pets and that raw feeding is healthier." The commonly found package-style dog food he's referring to started being widely used after World War II. Canine herbalist Rita Hogan said she doesn't think it's an abnormality for Bobby to live until 31.
I think it's a product of fresh air, low stress, minimally processed food, low vaccination, and good vet care, good dental cleanings, a relationship with his vet, a relationship with his community, and someone that loved him.
Hogan said she's had a dog and a cat both live into their 20s.
Just the other day, I was talking to someone and I mentioned that I had put my cat down he was just turning 23. He was like two months shy. And it was a big deal. I'm like, a cat living to 23 is not a big deal. Like, they should be living past 20.
Another expert's office alleged that a lobby organization is behind the doubt of Bobby's age. Dana Adams, an admin assistant for popular veterinarian Karen Becker, told Wired magazine that, quote, a lobby organization waited until the poor little guy's cremation day to raise questions to Guinness about additional testing. It's not clear if she was referring to Chambers Group or another party. Adams also said, quote, those of us in the pet space know it never goes well when you threaten a multi-billion-dollar empire, alluding that the lobbyists are connected to the pet food industry. About 2 months after Bobby died, Guinness World Records announced an investigation. They told NTD, quote, while our review is ongoing, we have decided to temporarily pause applications on both the record titles for Oldest Dog Living and Oldest Dog Ever until all our findings are in place and have been communicated. Guinness did not elaborate on what triggered their investigation. Bobby is said to be born in 1992. In Portugal, due to it not being required for dogs to be registered until 2020, it might be difficult to provide hard proof of Bobby's age. Jason Blair, NTD News.
NTD wrapped up its 6th international figure painting competition with an awards ceremony at the Selma Gundy Club in New York City, where the paintings have been on display. Let's take a look.
Merciful and courage.
A total of 60 entries from 20 countries around the world were selected for the final exhibition. After a review from judges, there was no gold award given out this year, but 3 silver awards and 5 bronze awards were handed out. The triptych, Buddha's Grace, created by 3 artists from Japan and Taiwan, won the highest prize of the competition, the Silver Award. The work demonstrated themes of contemporary mythological scenes.
The biggest challenge is that these paintings are very large, and then there are also many characters. At the beginning of the design process, in order to put all 3 paintings together as one, we had to put a lot of effort into the planning. Each of us probably has at least 20 to 30 sketches for each of our works.
This piece, painted by Xingru Jiang from Taiwan, titled Choosing Conscience Amid Political Unrest, won the Profound Humanities Award. 6 artists also took home the Outstanding Technique Award, 2 artists with the Outstanding Youth Awards, as well as 35 honorable mentions. As one of the top figure painting competitions in the world, the traditional artwork promotes the concepts of innocence, purity, and beauty.
This competition is really unique in that it places an emphasis on really letting classical aesthetics and ideals of truth and beauty.
The judges encouraged contestants to continue to sharpen their skills while staying true to ideas and themes that would promote the return of tradition and inspire the minds of future generations.
And I'm really grateful that there's a wonderful competition that NTD puts on that we can all get together and view and enjoy one another's work, and always worth it to come, and it's fantastic.
An album of this year's paintings will be released after the exhibit is over. The more than 60 finalist painting will be on display at the Selma Gundy Club in Manhattan, open to the public free of charge until 6 p.m. today.
Shifting gears to sports, a major decision from the San Jose Sharks. A player is retiring and his team now plans to also retire his jersey number. Here's NTD's Tyler Castile with the latest. Tyler?
Yeah, so Jumbo Joe Thornton has recently announced his retirement from playing in the NHL. In response, the San Jose Sharks announced earlier this week that his jersey number will be retired next season. Joe Thornton is only the 2nd player in Sharks history to have his number retired. The first belonging to number 12, belonging to Patrick Marleau, and now next season, number 19 will belong to Joe Thornton up in the rafters.
So can you tell us why he got his number retired and the significance of having it retired with his longtime teammate Patrick Marleau?
Yeah, sure. So Joe Thornton was traded to the Sharks from the Boston Bruins in 2005. During his time in San Jose, he reached many milestones. Most notably, he was known for his playmaking ability, where he's ranked 1st in assists, 2nd in points, 3rd in games played, and 4th in goals, all with San Jose. And during his time with San Jose, Patrick Marleau was his teammate the whole time.
Yeah, to reach that many milestones with one team is quite an accomplishment. Is there anything else when he was with other teams?
Yeah, sure, of course. Let's start in the beginning, where Joe Thornton was drafted. In 1997, he was the first overall selection by the Boston Bruins. And it just so happens that the number 2 pick was Patrick Marleau, who was selected by the San Jose Sharks. Later on, they became teammates. We all know the story. During his time with Boston, Thornton served as captain, leading up to his final few years before the trade to the Sharks. After the Sharks, he then signed to Toronto Maple Leafs, where he was following Patrick Marleau's footsteps because Patrick Marleau did the same exact thing just a couple years before. After the Maple Leafs, he then signed with Florida, where he played in the NHL until his final year at age 43. During his last few years with Toronto and Florida, and even the last few years with the Sharks, he was known as a veteran presence because he was most well-known and well-respected throughout the whole league.
Yeah, I know hockey is a very physically demanding sport. How typical is it for someone like Joe Thornton to retire at the age of 43?
Age 43 is very rare. I say any player to reach in any sport over the age of 40 is quite an accomplishment. And that was why he was so well known and well respected, because he was able to keep up the physically demanding toll that was taken on his body and still perform at the NHL pro level where skills are needed. So overall, just very impressive career, and just the last few years were the most impressive to see a player still go at that age.
All right, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful weekend.